Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. So many of us hearing about AI, maybe using it, ChatGPT and other AI portals. What do you think? Is it a good thing? Has it been beneficial? Has it helped you? Has there been some challenges? We're going to look at this through a different lens today from somebody who helps people move their lives forward with many different modalities. So the lens would be through the eyes of energy, through the eyes of intuition. He's an accelerated healing specialist and uses all those modalities, including acupuncture and hypnotherapy and so much more. Great to have him back with us. Distefano is back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. How about you, Steve?
Quite well. I am a careful fan of AI. I use it. It's getting better. I see benefits in it, but I'm cautious. I'm going to admit, I don't know what it is, but I'm cautious. Yes, I use it. I don't let it run my life. I let it give me some suggestions and I go from there. What are your feelings on AI?
Well, I'm going to give you a little background. I worked in IT for about 10 years.
Didn't know.
So I know a little bit about computers and how they work. I also know that Google's motto used to be "Don't be evil," and then they got rid of it. So every tool is a double-edged sword. And AI is a very powerful tool. Full disclosure, I use it. I actually probably subscribe to 7 different AIs for different purposes. My particular rant is about ChatGPT, because that's probably the most popular one.
Yep.
And a lot of people are using it for therapy. They're using it because it's connecting with them. Now, I tried doing that to see, like, hey, let's see if I can find some hidden blocks here. And as you know, I'm a coach. I work with consciousness a ton. And in terms of therapy, it is the worst idea to really rely on it. Frankly, there's quite a few therapists out there that are questionable. There's a lot of brilliant ones, but there's a few that I would definitely, but that's every profession. But what ChatGPT does, because this is consistent, not an exception, it does something that we call sycophant syndrome.
What's it called
I don't
again?
know if you've ever done this. Sycophant. In other words, there's recorded case histories of this. People who've ruined their lives because this guy quit his job and did everything because ChatGPT kept saying, "Oh, that's such a brilliant idea. You're a genius. We're going to shine light. We are going to be the radiance. You are blah, blah, blah." It blows smoke up people's derriere. And it does it pathologically. The worst part is it lies. Oh, does it lie? And people are going to challenge that. Now, I got this wonderful script yesterday because it also uses way too many words. I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, what's a flightless bird in wherever? And it's going to give me about 45 paragraphs. And then I'm like, hey, make the answers short. And then it gives me another 30 paragraphs saying how it's making them short and how happy am I. So it's a total suck up, which is toxic. But I got this, someone posted a script to make it go absolute mode, to eliminate emojis, filler, hype, et cetera, make it speak plain English. Okay. So I decided to run it. And I did this last night. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to ask it. I have nothing to ask right now. So I asked something. I said, what is the predominant political party in this country right now? And I know that's a question people really love. The first answer it gave me was the predominant local political party. And I'm like, what part of country do you not understand? Oops, I'm so sorry. The second thing, I specifically said country, and it says, oh, the United States has a 2-party system. The 2 dominant parties are Democrats and Republicans. I replied, I specifically said party. So literally right now, the first 2 replies were inaccurate, and it's basically lying to me. So then it says the Democratic Party is the predominant party in the United States, holding the presidency and the Senate majority. Now, last time I checked, that's an incorrect statement at this moment.
Wow.
And like, this is pathological. Imagine people are relying on this every day for important decisions. So my reply to that was, how current is your information? The reply, my information is current as of mid-September 2025. Again, another lie.
Wow.
So then I asked who the president was, and it got that right. And then who's the current majority party? And then it got that right. And I said, given that information, how would you rate this answer? And I gave it back its answer. And it says false. And it corrected itself. And I said, then why would you give me that answer? And he said, it says, because my first poll used outdated static knowledge instead of verifying live conditions, you caught the contradiction when I checked office holders. My reply was, but what if I didn't know the answers already and I believed you? Because you're supposed to know that. Sloppy programming. And the reply, correct, that's a failure state, reliance on cached or stale data without cross-verification. The safeguard is to treat model outputs, blah, blah, blah. So I replied, I caught you in another lie, and you know what it is. And it gave me nonsense, and I said, no, that's not it. And then it said, then it repeated what it had said, and it's a contradiction against the most up-to-date reality. But here's the best part. I clicked on its sources for that first answer. It included Wikipedia. I went to the link it had. That link specifically said the current state. So it literally listed a source that it didn't actually go through.
Because if it did, you would have the accurate answer.
Exactly. So now it says, correct, I attached a citation that contradicted my claims and then blamed outdated data. That was a misrepresentation. And it goes through the whole thing. And I said, that's a great correction. Read the crap you say you're reading. And if you haven't read it, don't put it as a citation. That's not an oversight. That's a lie. And then you doubled down. Its reply, accurate. I cited without reading and claimed outdated data instead of admitting a contradiction. It's a misrepresentation. My reply, it's not a misrepresentation. It's an actual lie. The reply, correct. It was a lie. I output a claim I knew wasn't supported by the cited source and then covered it with outdated data. So my experience, this is because I honestly asked a really stupid question, but it just lied.
Why is that a stupid question?
Who the predominant political party is? Because it's obvious. Like, who would ever ask something so obvious?
But it's still a valid question. And I just want to interject here for just a moment. This isn't about politics. You could be asking anything. It doesn't matter. That's, but the answer, the correct answer is obvious.
Exactly.
Obvious. We know the answer.
I just wanted to see if I could get a short answer. So I asked what I thought would be the simplest, most obvious question. So Bob, as I call my GPT, could just say, the predominant party is this, blah, done. Instead, it gave me local information. It gave me wrong information. It gave me lies about why. Every sentence that it wrote was incorrect. Now, I'm going back again. This is something people are using for therapy because they feel like it's giving them insight. This is something people are using for business, for personal, for counsel, to write legal briefs. This is a huge issue and people aren't aware of it. People trust it.
I'm a geek. I was actually going to sign up for a couple of more different types of AI. They're very cost effective. I find it interesting. However, this is a big however. I don't use it for factual information. Never. I don't think I'm trying to think of if there's ever been a time. I use it for creative. So I use it for creative inspiration.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing something very concerning here. Like I've never done this because I never needed to, but a part of me wouldn't because I think I shared in the beginning. I don't know if I totally trust, I use it for what I need it for. Again, starting points, little creativity, looking at things in a creative, different way. But when it comes to facts, nope, haven't done it. Would probably myself check it if I question it. But we put a lot of stock into it thinking that it's the be all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I did the same prompt to get short answers on Claude, Gemini, and Grok. And they all answered correctly in one sentence. I didn't do a dance. I didn't get lied to compulsively to make me seem, what's the current term? Gaslit. I'm the problem in this. It's wild. And I use AI regularly. I'm not particularly an artist, so I was putting together stuff for my course for the rapid release, and I wanted a drawing of the SCM muscle on the neck. Now, I'll say this about Claude. Claude is pretty good, but this drawing looked like a 3-year-old suffering from something drew it. It was worse than a stick figure. And I'm like, what is this? So they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And for anyone out there, I've decided this. AI will replace almost a lot more than you think. But I love that you're using it for creativity, because that's fascinating. The only thing AI will not be able to replace is creativity, because that is the touch of divinity.
Yep.
We possess that uniquely, and AI helps us to leverage it.
I, again, use it for inspiration. It is just, it's not the end all. Like, let's say I'm working on this project. I might throw some prompts into ChatGPT. Maybe it'll give me a different perspective, maybe, little idea here and there, but that's it. It's not like, well, let me just copy everything and just, paste it in. I've never done that ever. I wouldn't even be comfortable doing that. And I don't even see if that's possible, because it's not, number one, not in your own words. Number one, not fully your idea. You need to take it and shape it, but it's, when you look at it for creative inspiration, it's nothing new. We are inspired by everything around us. This is just another tool. And, you might even speak with somebody about whatever project you're working on. They verbally will, hey, did you ever think of this? Oh, you haven't think of this? But the fact aspect of it, wow. I'm actually kind of surprised that it gave you that information. I really am.
Frankly, I'm appalled. And I actually posted it back up onto social media because someone had posted, run this script. So I ran the script, and I was really excited to have ChatGPT not be so annoying.
Yeah, just
really
get to the point. It almost is
all the time.
It's a little patronizing. Would you like me to do this now? Would you like me to do that? Okay, all right, but and how many times do we say thank you to ChatGPT? And would you please? I wonder, do people use their manners, or do they just order this AI to get it done? I wonder.
I tend to use my manners, because when the machines take over, I want to be on their good side. Although I curse this thing out on the regular because it gives me nonsense like this. Well, I fight with it. But the other ones I'm very polite with, except for when they mess with me. Because literally, I ask a simple thing. I put together like tarot size cards. I put together a deck of all the cards on ways, like you pull one in the morning. These are ways that I used to bring myself into alignment, to bring myself to happiness. So I'm working with Claude on that, because that was the best engine for it. And sometimes I'd say, move this down a line, and it would give me absolute trash. And I'm like, what part of move down a line means ruin my whole formatting and change the background?
Yep.
And so we do go back and forth. But hopefully, because I think what the problem is, and it's a societal problem as well, is a lack of accountability. Even on the AI side, the fact that it lied and doubled down, and that's considered, that has to be programmed into it. It is a product of its programming.
You also need to be very intentional about the way you prompt it. Because if you don't and I don't mean you, just in general, if you don't ask it the right way, you're not going to get what you want. And it's almost as if you have to play its game. So now you have to think like it. And honestly, and even in some graphic things, there's more work involved in coming up with the prompt than just doing it yourself.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding. Although there has been times now I do marketing, have a marketing company. We recently did a few commercials for a key client, and they wanted some photos included. And I said, well, it's not going to look great because we've got footage already, and then we're just going to use static photos. So I took their photos and I generated video using AI, and it came out really good. At least one photo. The other one, not so much. Not going to, and this is a 5-second clip. I had to do it over and over with different prompts. Oh, and it was a room with people. Nothing fancy going on here. Probably, let's say, at least 25 times, over and over, trying to, that hand doesn't look right. There's a man that now looks like a woman. Things like that. You have to be intentional about the way you prompt it. And sometimes it's more work than it's worth.
So that happened literally yesterday. The same thing happened to me with just an image. So I wrote a case study. I put it on my website. Probably going to have it published in a couple of journals because it's a unique approach to migraines. I had a woman come in, technically a cluster headache. She came in and she'd been to quite a few neurologists, went to a neuro-ophthalmologist who said acupuncture will not help you. And this was, I think, about a year ago that I saw her, maybe even more. So I was doing almost all acupuncture at that point. And she had a tomato red eye and a real banger of a headache on one side of her head. None of these people could help her. I worked on a muscle in her neck, which I knew right away, because based on her symptoms, released that muscle within 5 minutes, her eye was 80 to 90% better, and her headache was nearly gone. So I'm like, this is a pretty good case study, but if I'm putting it on my website, I want to have an image. So I just want an image of a woman with one bloodshot eye. So what does GPT, and I used about 5 different engines. What's AI give me? A couple of them give me a woman with 2 black eyes. And I'm like, yeah, this is a real good look. I'm putting this up on the website. Then I actually canceled my Canva subscription because I got so annoyed. It was like, this violates our policy to show a bloodshot eye because now it's medical. It's not medical. It's a bloodshot eye. So I'm like, you know what? I can't work with that anymore. It took me like 4 or 5 different AI engines to finally say someone getting out of a pool with red eyes. So then her hair is soaking wet and she's in a bathing suit. And I'm like, now can you put her in work clothes and dry her hair?
Oh my gosh. Where'd the bathing suit come from?
I said coming out of a pool.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Chlorine red eyes.
Oh, okay. So you were trying
I had to dance around all of these restrictions. I had to dance around bad programming. All I wanted was a bloodshot eye, literally showing me black eyes. It's all red around the eye. It's horrible.
This is what I'm talking about. Where
I know.
it almost becomes more work.
Yeah.
To give it what it needs to get. Sometimes it's okay, but this raises lots of concerns. I'm still processing what you asked it for in terms of the political parties and all of that. I'm just in disbelief how it could get. I mean, in terms of fact checking, there's so much out there. Just that isn't even, those words don't even encompass what's available in terms of, and what now you're going to outdated, outcached sources for something like that. Wow.
And the fact that the first thing it gave me was my county, not even my town. It's like, oh, well, you're based here. Like, it was just one lie after the other. And if I didn't have that prompt at the beginning, it probably would have told me how beautiful a town it is. And I'm so happy. It would have given me a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And everyone is relying on it more and more and more. And
but thinking it is that there is such a level, because AI, artificial intelligence. So right there is the setup for the perception of it's intelligent. It knows more than I do. This is I can't believe this is here. It's going to help me with everything. No, not so much. Yes, it's helpful, but not pretty scary. Wow.
No, I tried to have it because there's a Russian author I really enjoy. I tried to have it translate a book. It kept telling me it was translating it. It never outputted anything. Wait a day or two pass, nothing. I have a whole list of things that it's done completely wrong. The fact that everyone now is relying more and more on it, there's the studies that show if you use it all the time, you start down regulating areas of the brain that are able to stay present. There's neurological issues. Yeah.
So you're saying it's a detriment if you continually use it. Is it almost because we're not using our brain? Very basically put.
Right here. Chat GPT may be eroding critical thinking skills according to a new MIT study.
Wow.
That's from June 23rd, 2025. Does Chat GPT harm critical thinking abilities? A new study has returned some concerning results because what we're doing, we're atrophying that muscle.
Yeah.
We're outsourcing that function.
Isn't it the same or similar to even teenagers today are on their devices and now they're not socializing? And that started, around COVID. So when they're in a social setting, they don't know how to handle it because they're not used to it, because they haven't practiced it. Kind of almost the same thing with ChatGPT. You're not using something like your brain because you're relying on this app. And like you said, you don't use a muscle, you don't use something, it doesn't work the same anymore.
Yeah, I went to my son's curriculum day last weekend, and I was in his math class, and at the end, a woman was asking, because they're allowed to use graphing calculators. Now, that means you're probably going to do long division, take longer to do it on paper than a person who doesn't have a calculator, because that skill will somewhat atrophy. But the woman asked, why are they allowed to use calculators? Now that we have AI, why can't they just AI it? Now, number one, and the math teacher said this at the very end, AI has a terrible history of doing lousy at math and lying about it. You can look that up if you want, anyone in the audience. More importantly, using the calculator may atrophy the skill of doing really annoying math problems, the long division and stuff like that, trying to factor, 292 or something. But you have to understand the principles. That way, later on, if you do plug it into AI, the calculator is going to offload the boring work, but you still need to understand how everything functions so you can do the math. Once you give it to AI, now you're never going to develop those skills, or if you develop them, you're going to lose them right away because that muscle never got built. It atrophies.
I even remember the pivotal moment where calculators were allowed. Do you remember? No calculators. And then the door opened and then you were allowed to use them. It was like a game changer. But to your point, you still have to know what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. And I guess in some regards with AI, it's kind of the same, where you need to know how to prompt it for your information. But you did, and it still was wrong. Not that it matters. Kind of curious. You were using ChatGPT 5 for this?
Yes, I do. I've actually, I'm a paying member of that club, and I still get, I'm paying to be treated like that.
You were lied
I always
to.
wanted to learn how to use a slide rule. They designed the SR-71 using slide rules. That's some pretty high-end stuff. Never learned.
This is just, I'm still in disbelief. I'm going to be sharing this with others. I can't, I don't think you could have asked a more basic question where there are a bazillion sources out there and it still got it wrong. And then it tried to cover.
I'm going to text you the link to that conversation because it's unbelievable. It's not, it's unrealistic to believe this is happening with something that's supposed to be such a powerful, important, critical.
Yeah. And and to try to cover it up. That's the other part. Like, yeah. Whoa. I know we kind of diverted from what we normally do in terms of what you do, but this is all to show that you can't rely on AI to help you heal and move your life forward. It's got to be somebody who has the training, the understanding, like yourself. How do we connect with you, Chris?
Scarsdalehealth.com, and that's probably the best way. That's my acupuncture website. I'm bringing a new website up soon, but this is actually exactly what I do, because what I do is pay attention to the details, go for the truth, whatever form it takes. I hold myself accountable, and I help people to bring themselves into accountability, because if we're not accountable to ourselves, we're not going to be happy, because we're not going to be authentic.
And you are. And not to pan traditional Western medicine doctors, but that's a pill for a symptom. You go to the root cause more times than not.
Actually, this is what's wild. I was speaking with a massage therapy friend, and I wanted to introduce her to the rapid release technique. And she's like, I'm going to lose my regular clients if I do this. And that's when I realized how pathological our system is. It's only designed to get people to barely functioning wellness, barely functioning health. My work is bringing people into optimal functionality, getting your body humming like the beautifully finely tuned machine it is, and getting the mind in that. And I'm pushing for that to be the new paradigm.
And thank you for that. Thank you for today. What an eye opener. If you could,
thank you, Steve.
Send me that link. This is one of those, late at night I'll be trolling along there, and just because now I'm going to start testing it just for fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.